Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today?
Right.
My name is Deaires, and today I'm going to be discussing about internet privacy. And through this presentation, I want you all to think about how important is internet privacy when it pertains to technology concerns. So, internet privacy basically just involves the right or mandate of personal privacy concerning the storing, repurposing, provision to third parties, and displaying of information pertaining to oneself via the internet. Privacy can entail either personal identifying information or non-personal identifying information, such as a site visitor's behavior on a website. When you start to talk about the risk involved in internet privacy, you have to think about those concerned about internet privacy often cite a number of privacy risks. Advanced and compromised privacy, which may be encountered through internet use. These range from gathering of statistics on users to perform malicious acts such as spreading spyware and exploitation of various forms of bugs. Browsing history or contents of social media accounts that can be processed to infer potentially intrusive details about an individual. We start to talk about search engines. Most search engines can and do collect personal information about their users according to their own privacy policies. This information could be anything from cookies to IP addresses, search and query history, online fingerprints, and location. The data is often stored in large databases for an extended period of time. These search engines will create a profile of users' habits, which helps decide which links to show or what ads to target the user with.
Google is shutting down Google Plus after the tech giant exposed the data of up to 500,000 users. Google acknowledged the breach happened between 2015 and March of this year, but claims they found no evidence that the data was misused. However, the company did not disclose the vulnerability once it fixed the problem in March because it reportedly feared regulatory scrutiny. Connie Guglielmo is the editor-in-chief of CNET News and joins us now. So Connie, first of all, what kind of information exactly has been exposed?
Well, we don't know what information has been exposed. Google claims that nobody exploited the access they were able to get during that 3-year time period, but potentially it was users' names, their email addresses, some profile data they might have entered, including their date of birth, their circle of friends, and then some personal info, like some photos and maybe your hobbies and other interests that you might have entered into your Google Plus profile.
So what can you tell us about Google's decision not to disclose this breach?
Well, the problem with Google not disclosing it at a time when there's heightened interest and people's concerns about privacy is telling in and of itself. The Wall Street Journal reported that Google made a decision internally not to let anyone know that this had happened because they discovered it in March, as you said, March of this year. And that was just as Facebook was coming clean on its Cambridge Analytica scandal and was getting a lot of attention from regulators about how that breach could happen. So according to the internal documents that the Wall Street Journal says they have, Google made basically a PR or political call not to disclose it because they didn't want to get the attention of regulators at a time when there was so much scrutiny on the tech industry.
Well, as a consumer, it makes me feel a little bit disappointed, to say the least, that they knew about the breach and they chose not to tell me as a consumer. What kind of regulatory measures could the company face at this point?
Well, they don't have any regulatory or legal obligation to let you know. The GDPR, which is the set of rules that went into play in May of this year, don't apply because this breach was discovered in March. Is it good practice for them to let people know that potentially their data has been breached? Absolutely. And they claim that they did not say anything about it because they saw no evidence of people's data being co-opted or misused during that 3-year time period when it was accessible to third-party developers. But it also said it's not really sure because it didn't keep logs. So it is a bad look for Google. It is a black eye for them, and you should be concerned about what exactly is out there.
Could this be problematic because they chose not to disclose it sooner?
It could be problematic from the standpoint of the tech industry being under scrutiny these days about how they're handling these kinds of breaches. And as you know, regulators here in the United States have hauled up other companies, Facebook, Apple, Twitter. Google was a famous no-show. The CEO, Sundar Pichai, was an empty seat at a recent regulatory hearing. And now that will just bring even more scrutiny. Google wanted to sort of keep out of the fray, and it actually has put itself in the fray by failing to disclose this and taking the steps that people would have felt more comfortable with, at least showing good faith. They wanted to let people know what was going on.
Yeah, I know, I think that's so important in this day and age. As a consumer, this isn't the first time that Google's actually faced controversy in their handling of data. We know there's other companies as well. You talk about how you can't really regulate this, but is there anything in the works that you believe could regulate it, or at least force them to come clean as soon as they know?
Sure. The GDPR, that's the General Data Privacy Regulations that went into effect in May, is the reason that Facebook last week disclosed a breach on its system. Companies that know that their data has been co-opted have 72 hours to tell you that some of your private data might be out there and might be in the hands of bad actors. So now there is that set of rules. Here in the United States, we don't have federal legislation, but states are enacting legislation state by state. There has been discussion of doing something at the federal level. And again, this doesn't help Google and the tech companies who want to avoid that federal regulation by saying that they can handle it themselves.
As a consumer, Connie, can we protect ourselves anyway?
Be very mindful of the information that you share. First of all, if you have a Google Plus account, if you're one of the few people that use that, and for those that don't know, Google Plus was a rival to Facebook that Google introduced in 2011. It didn't really get successful at all. In fact, it's one of Google's most spectacular failures. But if you have a Google Plus account, go back and shut it down. Make sure that data is not out there. And when you do sign up for various websites, take some time to understand what the privacy rules are, what data they're collecting about you, and maybe how they're sharing it. This was a case of third parties getting access. So Google has said that it will start limiting even more which third parties get access to your data. That's exactly what Facebook did after Cambridge Analytica as well. So it's on you to be a little more knowledgeable. Again, these are free services, and when anything is free, you are the product.
Oh, that's a very good point, Connie Young.
So is there anybody here who had a Google Plus account by any chance? Okay, so a couple of you did. Well, between 2015 and 2018, outside app developers could have potentially accessed private Google Plus user profile data due to a software glitch to the site. Did any of you all, were you a victim of this breach by any chance? Or you worried that you were? Well, when users signed up for a Google Plus profile, they can include personal data like their name, occupation, gender, email address, and more. Users can also mark certain data private or only viewable to certain friends. Users could grant access to profile data through third-party Google Plus apps. These apps are allowed to use coding links known as application programming interfaces, or APIs, to access profile data, but they are not supposed to be able to view private information. However, thanks to the coding glitch, up to 438 applications made by outside companies may have been able to access private personal data. Google fixed the security flaw when it was discovered in March 2018. Google said that outside developers could have seen names, email addresses, occupations, genders, and ages, but phone numbers, messages, Google Plus posts, or data from the other Google accounts were not exposed according to Google. So when you start to talk about privacy issues on social media, it's been a topic of discussion on who is held accountable for the collection and distribution of personal information. Some will say that it is the fault of the social networks because they are the ones who are sorting the vast amount of data. But others claim that it is the users who are responsible because it is the users themselves who provide the information in the first place. Cambridge Analytica scandal, which Cambridge Analytica is a political analysis firm that claims to build psychological profiles of voters to help its clients win elections. In 2018, Cambridge Analytica gained access to private information on more than 50 million Facebook users. The data included details on users' identities, friend networks, and likes. The idea was to map personality traits based on what people had liked on Facebook, and then use that information to target audiences for digital ads.
This scandal is extremely weird because we've known the basic details that Cambridge Analytica got access to these profiles for more than 2 years. It's not clear that the data they obtained was really all that useful to them, And the number of profiles that they supposedly obtained, 50 million, that might turn out to just be marketing hype from Cambridge Analytica. Despite all that, this is the biggest public relations crisis Facebook has faced since the aftermath of the 2016 election. Senators are calling on Zuckerberg to testify, the Federal Trade Commission is investigating, British authorities are investigating, and Facebook's stock price has been declining. So let's look what happened. The story starts in 2014. That's when a University of Cambridge researcher named Alexander Kogan created an app called This Is Your Digital Life. About 270,000 people downloaded it, gave away their information, and Kogan, unbeknownst to them, passed along that information to a data mining and political strategy firm named Cambridge Analytica. At the time, Facebook's platform API let developers like Kogan access information about your friends as well as yourself. Christopher Wiley, who used to work at Cambridge Analytica, told the Times and the Guardian that was how his company was able to get access to information of as many as 50 million people. And the idea was that by gleaning your Facebook likes, the company could begin to understand your personality and then more effectively target political advertising at you. This kind of thing is known as psychographic profiling. Experts say it can be useful at the margins in persuading voters, but at the same time they say its effect can be easily overstated. Granted, Trump's campaign wasn't the first to gain information about potential supporters using Facebook. In fact, in 2012, President Obama's election team had created an app and done a very similar thing. But there was a big difference. President Obama's team told voters what it was doing. Cambridge Analytica obtained this information in total violation of Facebook's rules and didn't tell anybody who was taking Kogan's personality quiz that their data would eventually be used for political advertising targeting. The Guardian revealed the scheme in 2015. Facebook went to Kogan and Cambridge Analytica and demanded that they delete all of the data that they had obtained in violation of Facebook's rules. But the reports say that in reality, Cambridge Analytica and Kogan never deleted the data, and Facebook never investigated to see whether they had deleted the data as promised. This gets to the heart of why some people are deleting their Facebook accounts right now. Facebook made it too easy for developers like Kogan to get access to their data, to their friends' data, and to share it. And it never informed people that their data had been properly used. The scandal also
How many of you all use Facebook here? Number of you all? You know if your data was compromised by the Cambridge Analytica scandal? Were you all getting any kind of weird digital political ads at that time? When you start to talk about levels of privacy, internet users may protect their data, their privacy through a controlled disclosure of personal information. In order to keep that information private, people need to be careful with what they submit to and look at online. Filling out forms and buying merchandise that becomes tracked, and because the information is not private, some companies are now sending the internet user spam and advertising of similar products. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, how can I possibly protect myself? Well, I can recommend that you stay up to date with your antivirus and malware software. Staying up to date with your operating system and your web browsers. Privacy settings, when updating privacy settings on websites and services, particularly on social media and search engines, is a good place to start protecting yourself. This can usually be done under a settings menu option. Since most websites default to information being shared publicly, changing settings will help you make sure your personal information is seen by fewer people. Ideally, you should choose to share information only with people you know. Why is this important? It's because that oversharing of social media information leads to numerous risks, including home break-ins by criminals who see that you are on vacation. Also, limited sharing and/or deleting tags on photos and editing the timeline can help remove potentially embarrassing material from being seen by people who don't know you well, including colleagues at work, acquaintances, distant family members, or potential employers. Blocking cookies. Blocking third-party cookies on your browser is another good way to maintain some anonymity while online. Blocking cookies makes it so websites will have a harder time tracking the last time you visited, what your username is, and whether or not you should be signed in automatically. While blocking cookies can be less convenient in some cases, the increase in privacy is worth the trade-off. Unlinking accounts. Many websites now are giving the option to link accounts. Google, for example, allows you to link all your different Gmail accounts in a browser. Many sites are now giving you the option to use your Google login to access their site. While convenient, linking accounts can create more risk. If one of your accounts is compromised, all the linked accounts will also automatically be at risk. So unlinking accounts is a good way to help protect information. Secure your connections, firewalls, and antivirus services. Always use a secure wireless connection and stop using public Wi-Fi networks. If you don't have a strong password on your home Wi-Fi network, it's time to create one. Use a firewall. Protecting your computer from unwanted network traffic is important. The good news is that modern OS releases generally contain built-in firewalls. Create stronger password. Your username and password combinations remain critically important for maintaining security online. The problem is that with every website needing a password, people tend to get predictable or lazy by creating simple passwords or using the same passwords over and over again on different websites. Use passwords of 8 characters or more with mixed types of characters, but even passwords with simple substitutions can be vulnerable to attackers. Increasingly sophisticated technology for random combinations can be difficult to remember. So today, I want to leave you all with a final thought, and just that is, how important do you think internet privacy is? Do you believe internet privacy is a big issue that needs to be addressed? Does anybody have any questions, any comments? That concludes my presentation.